Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Apology of Socrates by Plato. The Apology, also known as the Apology of Socrates, is written by the Greek philosopher Plato, and this gives the detail of what happened in the trial of his mentor Socrates in 399 BCE. Socrates was found guilty of impiety. Impiety means not accepting the gods or introducing a new god, that is a person who does not believe in God, and corrupting the youth. And so the Athenian jury sentenced him to death. And when they asked him, how would you like to die, Socrates chose to die by drinking a mixture of poisonous hemlock. And this Plato has divided into three parts. In the first part, the 71-year-old Socrates addresses and defends himself against the two charges which was brought before the 500-person jury. That is, 500 people sat down as a jury for Socrates. The first charge is for assibae or impiety, accusing that Socrates introduced new gods and rejected the old gods. And the second charge is that he corrupted the youth of Athenians who regularly follow Socrates. His formal accusers are Anytus, Meletus and Lycon, and these three are the prominent Athenians of the type Socrates frequently seeks in public, that he will disgrace them in the public. And before addressing them, Socrates acknowledges that this is not the first time he is facing some charges like this, because he has long time faced similar charges in the court of public opinion, and for that he thanks the works of Aristophanes, her playwright, who had branded Socrates as a dangerous, impious and a corrupt person in his place. Socrates claims that these accusations are far more injurious than the ones which are being laid on him in the court, and these have been there for a long time, and therefore he says, since the juries have already heard these accusations against him, the mind itself is poisoned even before giving the judgment. That is, they have come here with the predefined idea that Socrates is dangerous and corrupt. Therefore, he says that this was done for a long time and this is nothing new to him. And he also says that this negative reputation towards him is a kind of a wisdom which he has. And in order to explain that, he says that his old friend Chaerephon once asked Pythia, who is the oracle of Delphi, if any man is wiser than Socrates. It is generally believed that the oracles are words of God, and they will tell the truth and they will be even able to see the future. And Pythia replied, no, confounding Socrates, who believes that he is not very wise at all. He feels that he is not wiser than others. And in order to refute the oracle, Socrates calls upon numerous men of wealth and status who are considered wise in Athenian society. He says, because these people are wealthy and also holding high positions, people look at them as wise men. Then how can I be wiser than them? And he concludes that while he knows no more or less than these men, he is wiser because, unlike them, he has no illusions about his own lack of wisdom. And he says that these people actually lack wisdom, but they are not aware about it. They think they are wise. But I think I am not wiser than others. And in response to the charge of corrupting the youth, Socrates points out that young wealthy men of Athenians follow him around of their own volition. He has not compelled them to follow him. And they find great joy and entertainment in watching Socrates utilize his trademark method of interlocution and interrogation to expose prominent older men's ignorance. And through that, people come to understand that these people do not know much as they pretend to know. And although Socrates views this as a public service, he points out the result is that those whom they question are angry not with themselves but with me, because I am the one who makes everyone realize that these people are not wise, and they are not ashamed that they are not wise, but they are ashamed and they are angry because I have brought out the truth in front of the public. And Socrates then addresses his accusers directly, specifically Meletus, who Socrates says is the plaintiff acting on behalf of the poets. Socrates argues that he could not have corrupted the youth on purpose because corrupted individuals harm themselves, meaning Socrates himself. Regarding the charge of atheism and impiety, Socrates maneuvers Meletus to contradict himself by admitting that Socrates believes in spirits and demigods even though he is an atheist. Socrates says, "What man would believe children of the gods to exist but not gods? Because without gods, they will not be children of gods." And he says, if I believe in children of gods, then I should believe that gods also are there. And Socrates then acknowledges the very real possibility that the jury may put him to death. He forcefully rejects any anxieties over his mortality, explaining, "No one knows whether death may not be the greatest of all blessings for a man. Yet men fear it as if they knew that it is the greatest of evils." And Socrates adds that if the court were to spare his life on the condition that he cease practicing philosophy, he would choose death. That is, if the court is going to say that they will not give him the punishment of death, if he stops practicing philosophy, he says, "I would rather die than stop practicing philosophy." To him, challenging the citizens of Athens to examine and improve their lives is a holier endeavor of utmost importance, and thus to kill him would harm Athenians far more than it would harm himself. In support of the importance he places on his work, Socrates points out that he is not materially compensated for his efforts to educate the populace, unlike the sophist whom his accusers and many in the jury oppose. Because Socrates has not done this to gain money or to get any political ambition or to get any big positions in the society. And he explains, a man who really fights for justice must lead a private, not a public life, if he is to survive for even a short time. And to illustrate the impossibility of living a just life as a public servant, Socrates describes his time serving on the Athenian council during the period between 404 and 401 BCE. In the wake of Athenians' loss in the Peloponnesian War, Sparta installed a brutal and tyrannical oligarchy in place of the nation's democratic institutions. Under this regime, Socrates engaged in civil disobedience when he refused orders to retrieve the former general Leon of Salamis for an unjust execution. Socrates ends his defense by refusing to beg the jury for mercy, even if it would improve his odds of acquittal. To do so, he argues, would be to extend a harmful precedent by which defendants are acquitted according to their behavior and attitude at trial, not according to the law. Because if he is going to be left out free by asking for mercy, then it will mean that the judgment is given only based on the behavior of the person who is begging for mercy at that time, and not according to the law or according to the rules laid by the other people or by the defendants who are arguing for Socrates. With his initial defense over, the jury delivers a guilty verdict. Meletus recommends that his punishment be death. In the second part, Socrates delivers a sentencing plea in response to Meletus' call for the death penalty. He vehemently suggests that a more fitting sentence for a lifetime of providing moral education to his fellow Athenians is to be fed and feted in the Prytaneum way feasts are given to honor returning war heroes. Although he will accept whatever punishment is given, death, imprisonment or exile, he cannot justify any of these outcomes because he believes he did no wrong. Moreover, he is too poor to pay any fine over 1 mina, though he says his friends including Plato will front him up to 30 minas. Unpersuaded, the jury sentences Socrates to death. In the last part, Socrates is afforded a final statement to the jury. He reiterates his belief that Athens does more harm to itself than to him by condemning him to death. Moreover, Socrates references his daimonion, a lesser deity, that counsels him against unethical behavior. At no point, he insists, did his daimonion intervene to prohibit him from practicing philosophy. He also reflects on the nature of death, concluding that it is either a dreamless sleep or a chance to converse with dead Olympian heroes in the underworld. Either way, he welcomes his fate. In closing, Socrates says, "Now the hour to part has come. I go to die, you go to live. Which of us goes to the better lot is known to no one except the god." The essay ends here, and this is what Plato has written in his Apology. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.